Morning, everyone. As promised yesterday, I'm going to go through some activities you can do with your children to help them hear the sounds and words. So these are phonemic awareness activities. The first thing I want to remind you of, though, is phonemic awareness starts at a very basic skill. And this is on the continuum of phonological awareness that I shared with you earlier and that I'll post again. So if you're looking to do some activities with your children to highlight for them the sounds of words, and this is a critical skill for being able to decode or sound out words, they have to be able to isolate those sounds to sound out words well. It starts with rhyming, okay? So they have to be able to hear and produce rhyme. They have to be able to hear and produce words with specific syllables, so the parts of words that we often clap out, butterfly. Can they do rhyme and syllables really well? And then finally, what we got on our continuum was finally to produce a word starting with a specific first sound. So can they isolate the first sound of a word? Can they hear that? Cat. What is the first sound in the word cat? And they can reliably tell you k. Make sure children can do these things really well first before moving on to the activities I'm going to talk about now. So if your children can do this really well, then they're able to start playing with the individual sounds and words, and these are called phonemes. And this is what children need to be able to hear really well for sounding out words or decoding words, and for making words in writing, encoding words. So think about 3 things you can do with phonemes. You can segment them, you can blend them, and you can modify them. So segmenting them. There are 3 sounds in the word cat. Can you tell me what they are? K, a, t. Okay. I'm going to tell you 3 sounds, and then I need you to squish it together. I need you to blend it together to make a word. B-at, bat, bat. That's blending. And then modifying. Okay, we have the word bat, b-at. What if we change the first sound in the word bat to k? Modify, change that. Now what do we have? K, at, cat. Now what if we change that to at, mat? So these are auditory exercises. Children only need to listen with their ears. So I would encourage you not to use any writing. Nothing, no flashcards with words on them or letters on them. I wouldn't do it during your shared book reading. Make this a very conversational activity that you're doing with your children. So think of those 3 things. You can segment, blend, and modify. And now think about how you can make it more of a game. So a few ideas I came up quickly last night. A matching game. So if you have a matching game that only has pictures on it, which many of us do with young children, instead of matching what the actual item is, so my daughter was playing with a frozen one earlier today, you would highlight what is the first sound in that image, and can you find a match for that in the rest of the cards. Similarly, you could do this, you can make it a bingo game. You could do this with Go Fish. If you have images again on your Go Fish, kind of ignore the number and just talk about the image that's there. Do you have a card that starts with the sound B? Do you have a card that starts with the sound K? Or eventually, once children can isolate that first sound really well, you can start playing with the last sound of the word. So I hope this is helpful. I will link a few websites that have, tons of activities you would go through. But I think that, really if you understand that you're talking about the sounds of letters, the sounds in words, that you need to be able to both to segment, blend, and modify. Think about working with that first sound first, then eventually the last sound. I think you definitely would have games in your home that you could modify to highlight this. And again, the one I spoke about yesterday, a simple I Spy. I spy with my little eye something that begins with the sound T. And then you can look around the environment and identify that sound. So I hope this is helpful. Good luck. If you have any questions, reach out to me as always.